The sound cuts through marble hallways like a wound that won't close, liquid gurgling through plastic tubing at precisely 8 o'clock each morning. In Delilah Whitmore's bedroom, behind a door that hasn't opened from the inside in 18 months, a 12-year-old girl sits perfectly still in a reinforced medical chair while her body is filled with nutrients she never chose to consume. The funnel gleams under clinical lighting, chrome-catching reflections of curtained windows that haven't seen sunlight in so long the houseplants have died from neglect. Her father reviews feeding charts 3 doors away, convincing himself that the numbers scrolling across screens equal love, that keeping someone breathing is the same as keeping them alive. This is what grief looks like when it has $40 million and no idea how to stop running. 2 years ago, Catherine Whitmore died of an eating disorder, her body finally surrendering to a battle with control that she could never win. 1 month later, her daughter began a different kind of disappearing, not through starvation, but through a father's terror disguised as prevention, a nutritionist's greed disguised as care, and a childhood transformed into a medical protocol that mirrors the very treatment that failed to save her mother. But when Sofia Rivera, 7 months pregnant, undocumented, carrying nothing but a single suitcase and her grandmother's wisdom about families we choose rather than inherit, steps through the service entrance of the Whitmore estate, something shifts in the house's suffocating stillness. She doesn't bring expertise or credentials. She brings something more dangerous, the radical belief that a child buried alive in her own body might still deserve to be seen as human. Stay with us to witness how one woman armed with nothing but presents in a strawberry transforms a household where love has been confused with control, where healing begins not with protocols, but with the simple recognition that someone still exists beneath the weight of what's been done to save them. Sofia's ankles had swollen beyond recognition, thick as loaves of bread stuffed into shoes that no longer fit. She sat in the employment agency's waiting room, her single suitcase pressed against her shins, and tried not to think about the eviction notice folded in her coat pocket. 7 months pregnant, undocumented, 26 years old, and more alone than she'd been at 19 when she crossed the border with nothing but her grandmother's photograph and a phone number that no longer worked. The woman behind the desk, Mrs. Patterson, according to the nameplate, kept glancing at Sofia's belly with barely concealed concern. Sofia had learned to read these looks. They meant, you're unemployable, you're a liability, you're someone else's problem. Miss Rivera, Mrs. Patterson's voice carried the practiced sympathy of someone delivering bad news daily. I do have one position available, live-in domestic. Work. The pay is... She paused, sliding the paper across the desk. Quite generous. Sofia looked at the number. Triple what she'd made at the restaurant, triple what anyone paid housekeepers, even legal ones with references. There must be something wrong with it, Sofia said in careful English. Mrs. Patterson's expression confirmed this. The household is challenging. They've had significant turnover, but they're desperate, and frankly, so are you. She softened slightly. The family isn't dangerous, just complicated. Sofia thought of her baby, who kicked against her ribs as if to say, decide, choose, we need shelter. She thought of her grandmother in Guatemala, who taught her that family could be chosen as easily as inherited. La familia se elige también. She thought of the shelter she'd stayed at last week, the thin mattress and thinner walls, the woman in the next bunk who'd had her children taken by the state. What kind of complicated? Sofia asked. Mrs. Patterson hesitated. A widowed father. A daughter with special needs, medical care involved. They need someone who can... She searched for words. Someone compassionate, patient. Sofia knew what wasn't being said, someone desperate enough to stay. I'll take it, she heard herself say. By evening, Sofia stood in the foyer of the Whitmore estate, her suitcase feeling impossibly small in the vast space. The house was a museum of unused wealth, fresh flowers no one would see, crystal chandeliers illuminating empty rooms, a dining table set for ghosts. The housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, conducted a brisk tour, her face carefully neutral as she explained the schedule. Delilah Whitmore receives medical nutritional support 4 times daily, 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., 8 p.m. You'll assist Dr. Voss, never interfere with the protocol. Mrs. Chen's accent was slight, her English precise. "Mr. Whitmore works long hours. He's rarely home." "And Delilah?" Sophia asked. Something flickered across Mrs. Chen's face. Not quite pity, more like recognition of shared knowledge neither woman could speak aloud. "You'll meet her tomorrow. She rarely leaves her room." Sophia's staff quarters were larger than any apartment she'd rented, with a private bathroom and a window overlooking gardens maintained by people she'd never meet. She unpacked her suitcase, 3 changes of clothes, a rosary she no longer used, the photograph of her grandmother. The old woman stared out from the frame, her face weathered and wise. "Family is also chosen," Sophia whispered to the photograph. Her baby kicked in response, and Sophia placed her hand over the movement. Tomorrow she would meet the girl who needed her. Tonight she would sleep in a bed with clean sheets, in a house that felt more mausoleum than home, and try not to wonder what she'd agreed to. Sophia woke at dawn, her body trained by years of restaurant work to rise before the sun. The mansion held a particular quality of silence, not peaceful but suspended, as if the house itself was holding its breath. She dressed carefully, braiding her hair back from her face, and made her way through hallways lined with family photographs that stopped abruptly 2 years ago. Mrs. Chen found her in the kitchen, provided coffee and toast, then led her upstairs. The second floor felt different, warmer but heavier, the air thick with something Sophia couldn't name. They stopped before a closed door. "Delilah's room," Mrs. Chen said quietly. "Dr. Voss will arrive at 8 for the first feeding. Watch carefully. Follow her instructions exactly." She paused, her hand on the doorknob. "The girl, she doesn't speak much anymore. Don't take it personally." Inside, Sophia's heart broke. Delilah Whitmore sat in a reinforced chair beside a curtained window, her body enormous and her eyes vacant. 12 years old, Mrs. Chen had said. But the girl's face held the blankness of someone who'd stopped existing inside their own skin. The room was prison neat. No clutter, no personality, nothing that suggested a child lived here except the unused desk and bookshelf. Sophia approached slowly, the way her grandmother had taught her to approach frightened animals. "Hola, Delilah. Me llamo Sophia." She kept her voice soft, conversational. "I'm going to be helping take care of you." Delilah's eyes didn't track Sophia's movement. She stared at nothing, breathing shallowly, her hands resting limply in her lap. Sophia noticed the scratches on her arms, deliberate, repetitive, hidden in plain sight. At 8 o'clock precisely, Dr. Voss arrived with the efficiency of someone performing a mechanical task. She was 40-ish, professionally dressed, carrying a medical bag and a container of beige liquid that smelled vaguely of vanilla and chemicals. "You must be the new assistant," Dr. Voss said without looking at Sophia. "Stand there, observe." What Sophia observed made her stomach turn. Dr. Voss prepared the gastric feeding funnel with clinical detachment, connecting tubing to the port, surgically implanted in Delilah's stomach. She poured the high-calorie formula, thick as paint, the color of institutional food, into the funnel. Gravity did the rest, forcing nutrition into a body that neither consented nor resisted. Throughout the procedure, Delilah's eyes went elsewhere, not closed, not sleeping, dissociated. Sophia recognized it from her own history of surviving things that couldn't be stopped. "This prevents dangerous eating disorder behaviors," Dr. Voss explained, as if Delilah weren't present. "Her mother died of anorexia. Mr. Whitmore is preventing the same fate." She checked her watch. "The formula takes approximately 20 minutes to administer. Afterwards, she may experience nausea. That's normal." Sophia watched Delilah's face for those 20 minutes, bearing witness to suffering she couldn't yet name. When Dr. Voss finally disconnected the tubing and left with instructions for the noon feeding, Sophia remained. She pulled a chair close to Delilah's, sitting where the girl could see her if she chose to look. "Estás aquí," Sophia whispered. "You're here. Todavía estás aquí. You're still here." For the briefest moment, Delilah's eyes flickered toward Sophia's face. Then they went blank again, but Sophia had seen it. The girl was still inside that silent prison, waiting for someone to notice she existed. Marcus Whitmore arrived home at 11:30 p.m., still wearing his suit like armor against the world. Sophia heard his car in the circular drive, some expensive thing that purred rather than rumbled, and finished wiping down the kitchen counters. Mrs. Chen had left dinner warming in the oven, roasted chicken, vegetables, food that would go uneaten. He entered through the side door, bypassing the grand foyer entirely, and found Sophia in the kitchen. Up close, he looked older than 42. Oh. Hollow-eyed, haunted. "You're the new assistant." Not a question. "Yes, Mr. Whitmore, Sophia Rivera." He nodded absently, already pulling out his phone, scrolling through something. "How was her day?" Sophia understood he meant Delilah, though he hadn't used her name. "The treatments went as scheduled. Dr. Voss said everything was normal." "Good, good." He sat at the kitchen island, and Sophia served him the dinner he'd requested. He ate 3 bites, reviewing papers. Medical charts, she realized, weight gain curves, caloric intake spreadsheets, his daughter reduced to data points. "She scratches herself," Sophia said quietly. Marcus's fork paused halfway to his mouth. "What?" "Her arms. She scratches them during the feedings." Something crossed his face, pain perhaps or recognition, then disappeared behind professional detachment. "I'll have Dr. Voss prescribe protective mittens." He returned to his charts. Problem identified, solution implemented. His daughter's suffering converted to a management task. Sophia watched him eat without tasting, work without seeing. He'd built an empire protecting data, Mrs. Chen had told her. Cybersecurity, anticipating threats, securing vulnerabilities, skills that meant nothing when applied to human hearts. "When did you last see her?" Sophia asked. His eyes snapped up, sharp for the first time. "See who?" "Delilah." The name hung between them like an accusation. Marcus set down his fork carefully, the way people do when they're trying not to break something. "I review her medical reports daily. Dr. Voss provides comprehensive updates." "That's not what I asked." For a moment, Sophia thought he might fire her on the spot. Instead, something crumbled in his expression, just briefly, just enough to glimpse the grief underneath. "My wife died because I couldn't control her eating disorder," he said flatly. "I won't make that mistake twice." He stood, leaving his dinner half-eaten, and disappeared into his home office. Sophia heard the door lock. She cleared his plate, washed the dishes, and thought about Catherine Whitmore's final words, which she did. Found in the archived news articles, "I just wanted to choose." At midnight, Sophia made her decision. She climbed the stairs to Delilah's room with a bowl of warm water and a clean cloth. The girl sat in darkness, exactly where Sophia had left her hours ago, still as furniture. "I'm going to wash your face," Sophia said in Spanish. No request, no explanation, just gentle certainty. She knelt beside the chair and brought the warm cloth to Delilah's forehead. The girl flinched, but didn't pull away. Sophia worked carefully, temples, cheeks, chin, cleaning away the residue of the day with the tenderness of prayer. Delilah's eyes flickered toward her face. Recognition, presence, the briefest acknowledgement that this moment mattered. "Estás aquí?" Sophia whispered again. "You're here. Todavía estás aquí. You're still here." She left a glass of water on the nightstand. Not a mandate, not a treatment protocol, just a choice, sitting there in the darkness, waiting for a girl to remember she could still make them. Sophia woke before dawn had fully broken, her back aching and her baby pressing against her ribs like a reminder of everything she had to lose. She made her way to Delilah's room with the quiet determination of someone who'd already decided what line she was willing to cross. The girl sat exactly where Sophia had left her, but the water glass was empty. Sophia's heart lifted. She said nothing about it, no praise, no comment. She simply refilled the glass and began her new ritual, opening the curtains 12 inches. Not the full window, nothing overwhelming. Just enough light to suggest that day existed, that the world outside this room continued turning. "Estoy abriendo las cortinas un poquito," she narrated softly in Spanish. "I'm opening the curtains a little bit, not because Delilah understood the words, but because her voice needed to mean something other than clinical efficiency. Ahora voy a recoger estos papeles." Now I'm going to pick up these papers. She tidied the room with deliberate movements, giving Delilah something to track, something to focus on besides the next feeding. 4 times a day, Dr. Voss arrived with her funnel and formula, performing her mechanical ritual while Delilah disappeared inside herself. And 4 times a day, Sophia positioned herself where Delilah could see her face instead of the equipment. She didn't smile artificially or offer false comfort. She simply existed as a witness, her eyes meeting Delilah's during those brutal 20 minutes, her expression saying, "I see you. I see that this is wrong. You are not alone." On the 3rd day, Sophia brought contraband hidden under cleaning supplies, a small sketch pad and a set of colored pencils, the cheap kind from the drugstore, but new, unused, full of possibility. She placed them on Delilah's desk without ceremony or explanation, then continued dusting the bookshelf as if she'd done nothing remarkable at all. For 2 days, the sketch pad sat untouched. Sophia didn't mention it, didn't encourage. She simply maintained her presence, the curtains opening gradually wider, her Spanish narration of ordinary actions, her hand available during the feedings for Delilah to grip or ignore. On the 5th morning, Sophia found a drawing, crude and desperate, done in harsh black strokes, a girl with a funnel where her mouth should be, dark scribbles surrounding her like a storm or a cage or both. No birds, no hope, no windows, just honest suffering, finally given form. Sophia's hands trembled as she studied it. She could praise it, so brave, so powerful, but praise would make this about performance, about pleasing adults. Instead, she took clear tape from the desk drawer and fixed the drawing to the window where morning light could illuminate it. When she returned that evening after Delilah's dinner feeding, 3 more drawings waited. The girl with the funnel, repeated with small variations, each one a testimony, each one saying, "This is happening to me. I still exist enough to tell you." Sophia taped them all to the window, creating a gallery of suffering that no one could ignore. Mrs. Chen saw them during her evening rounds and said nothing, but her expression shifted, from resignation to something harder, more determined. The crack in Delilah's prison had appeared. Now Sophia just had to make sure it didn't close before the girl found her way through. By the end of Sophia's first week, the Whitmore household had shifted in ways too subtle for most to notice. But Sophia noticed everything, the way Delilah's eyes now tracked her movements across the room, following her with the cautious hope of an animal learning trust might not always end in pain. Sophia established rituals without announcing them. Each morning, she braided sections of Delilah's unwashed hair, working through tangles with patient fingers while humming songs her grandmother had taught her. Songs about mountains and rivers, about women who carried their homes in their hearts. "Ella mi pateo aquí," Sophia said one afternoon, placing Delilah's hand on her belly where the baby kicked. "Your sister or brother is strong." The possessive "your" was intentional. Sophia planted seeds of connection in every sentence, weaving Delilah into a future that included new life, chosen family, belonging beyond blood. Dr. Voss noticed the changes too. "You're too familiar with the patient," she told Mrs. Chen after the noon feeding, her voice sharp with territorial alarm. "It's inappropriate, unprofessional." Mrs. Chen, who had watched 3 housekeepers quit in horror over the past year, said nothing. But her silence was its own form of rebellion, a refusal to participate in the dismantling of something good. Marcus noticed the anomaly on Friday evening, reviewing Delilah's weekly medical reports in his home office. Her resting heart rate had decreased by 12 beats per minute. Stress indicators down. For the first time in 18 months, his daughter wasn't deteriorating. She was stabilizing. Curious, he accessed the bedroom's monitoring camera, installed 2 years ago under the justification of medical safety. The footage showed Sophia sitting beside Delilah during the 4 p.m. feeding, her presence steady as a lighthouse. When Dr. Voss disconnected the tube and left, Sophia remained. She held Delilah's hand while the girl wept soundlessly, her body shaking with grief that had nowhere else to go. Sophia didn't speak, didn't offer platitudes or false comfort. She simply bore witness, her calm presence saying, "I see your suffering. I acknowledge it. You're not alone." Marcus watched the footage 3 times, something cracking open in his chest, the first fissure in the dam he'd built to hold back 2 years of grief. His wife's final words echoed in his memory. "I just wanted to choose." He'd heard them as a condemnation of his failure to control her. But watching Sophia with Delilah, he wondered for the first time if Catherine had meant something different entirely. He closed the laptop before the thought could fully form. He wasn't ready. Not yet. That night, Marcus wrote a $1 bonus into Sophia's next paycheck, his only language for gratitude, for recognition, for the stirring of something he couldn't name. But he couldn't bring himself to enter his daughter's room, to face what his protection had actually created. In the staff quarters, Sophia sat with her grandmother's photograph, feeling her baby shift and settle inside her. 1 week. 7 days of small rebellions, of quiet restoration. Delilah was beginning to emerge from her catatonia, returning to her body inch by careful inch. But Sophia understood what the others didn't yet. This was the easy part. Dr. Voss would fight back. Marcus would waver. The system would defend itself because systems always did, especially when challenged by powerless women. Sophia placed her hand on her belly, feeling her daughter's strong kicks. "We're still here," she thought, echoing the words she whispered to Delilah each night. "Todavia estamos aquí." Tomorrow she would open the curtains another 12 inches. Tomorrow she would braid Delilah's hair again. Tomorrow she would continue building the bridge between imprisonment and freedom, one invisible brick at a time. Sophia's pregnancy had become undeniable, her belly round and prominent, her movements slower, her back aching by evening. She was 8 months along now, her baby girl active and demanding, reminding Sophia with every kick that time was running out on multiple fronts. She began bringing her lunch to Delilah's room, eating slowly while the girl watched with hollow eyes. Sophia never offered to share, never commented on the food. She simply ate a strawberry and described its taste in Spanish, making food ordinary again instead of medicalized. "Dulce," she said, savoring the fruit. "Un poquito ácida, buena." Sweet, a little sour, good. On day 9, the morning after a particularly brutal funnel feeding, that left Delilah gagging for 20 minutes, Sophia made a decision. She left a single strawberry on a napkin on the nightstand. She said nothing about it. She simply placed it there like an offering or a question, then continued tidying the room. For 3 days, the strawberry sat untouched. Sophia replaced it each morning without comment, watching it rot and removing it like any other trash. No judgment, no pressure, just patient offering. On the 4th day, Sophia found the napkin empty. Her heart lifted, but her face remained neutral. When Delilah's eyes met hers, filled with terror and defiance with the first complex emotion Sophia had witnessed, Sophia simply nodded once. Acknowledgement, recognition of the immense courage it took to make one small choice in a life stripped of all agency. She placed another strawberry on the nightstand and left the room. That afternoon, Delilah ate it while Sophia was present. Tears streamed down her face as she bit into the fruit, her whole body shaking. The act was simultaneously nothing and everything. A girl reclaiming her own mouth, her own right to choose what entered her body. Sophia moved to sit beside her. She took Delilah's hand and placed it on her pregnant belly, where the baby kicked vigorously against the intrusion. Life meeting life. 2 bodies asserting their aliveness, their refusal to be reduced to problems requiring management. They sat that way for 20 minutes, neither speaking. Words would have shattered the moment's fragile power, would have made it about performance or progress instead of pure being. When Dr. Voss arrived for the evening feeding, she noticed the strawberry stem on the nightstand. Her eyes narrowed, calculating. Sophia felt the shift immediately. The tightening of institutional control, the system recognizing a threat. That night, Sophia heard Dr. Voss on the phone in the hallway, her voice carrying through the walls. She's undermining the entire protocol, projecting her condition onto a vulnerable patient, encouraging eating, the exact behavior that killed the mother. Yes, I have documentation. Sophia sat in her small room, one hand on her belly, and understood. The easy part was over. Dr. Voss would fight back. The real battle was about to begin, but when she closed her eyes, she saw Delilah's face as she ate that strawberry, terrified and defiant and alive. Whatever came next, that moment had been worth it. "Todavia estamos aquí," Sophia whispered to her daughter. "We're still here, and we're not leaving." Dr. Voss arrived for the noon feeding and found Delilah's bedroom transformed into something she hadn't authorized. Drawings covered the walls, 20 of them now, each depicting variations of imprisonment, funnels, and a recurring figure. a round-bellied woman with kind eyes rendered in the only color Delilah had used, green, like hope, trying to grow in concrete. Voss photographed each drawing with her phone, her jaw tight with calculation. She recognized a threat when she saw one. Her $15,000 monthly retainer depended on maintaining Marcus Whitmore's belief that only her intervention stood between his daughter and death. This pregnant maid was undermining 18 months of carefully constructed dependence. "These need to come down," Voss said, her voice clinical. "Visual stimulation can trigger obsessive behaviors." Sophia, who had been folding laundry in the corner, looked up. "She's expressing herself. She's manipulating you." Voss began peeling drawings from the wall. Common tactic in eating disorder patients. They project their illness onto caretakers who lack professional boundaries. Sophia stood slowly, her pregnant belly making the movement deliberate. She walked to where Voss stood holding Delilah's artwork and did something she'd never done before. She took them back. "No," Sophia said quietly. The word hung in the air like a declaration of war. Voss's expression shifted from surprise to cold fury. "You're dismissed for the day. I need to conduct the feeding without interference." Sophia glanced at Delilah, whose eyes had gone wide with fear. The girl's hand crept toward the scratches on her arm. Old comfort, old pain. "I stay," Sophia said. "Mr. Whitmore hired me to help. I help." For a moment, Voss looked like she might call security. Instead, she smiled thinly and proceeded with the feeding, her movements more mechanical than usual. She poured the formula faster, not waiting for Delilah's body to adjust. The girl gagged twice, her face turning red. Sophia positioned herself where Delilah could see her, maintaining eye contact through the brutal procedure. When it was over and Voss had left with a final warning glance, Sophia sat beside Delilah and held her hand while the girl wept. That afternoon, Sophia found Mrs. Chen in the kitchen and asked a question that had been forming for weeks. "The other housekeepers who worked here, why did they leave?" Mrs. Chen's hands paused over the vegetables she was chopping. Her face carried 40 years of witnessing things she couldn't stop. "They couldn't watch," she said finally. "What was being done to that child? They tried to say something, but..." She gestured around the mansion at the wealth that made certain truths unspeakable. "Who listens to housekeepers? Dr. Voss is going to try to get me fired. I know." Mrs. Chen resumed chopping, her knife precise against the cutting board. "She called Mr. Whitmore already, meeting scheduled for tonight." Sophia felt her baby kick hard against her ribs as if sensing her mother's fear. She had nowhere else to go, no savings, no papers, no family in this country except the one growing inside her. "I can't leave her," Sophia said. Mrs. Chen looked at her for a long moment, weighing something invisible. Then she made a decision. "I've been documenting," she said quietly. "Taking notes, dates, times, everything I've seen for 2 years. I kept thinking someone with authority would notice, would care." She met Sophia's eyes. "But maybe authority isn't what's needed. Maybe witness is enough." That night, Sophia lay awake in her small room, listening to the mansion's expensive silence. Tomorrow, Marcus would decide her fate. Tomorrow, Dr. Voss would present her case. The maid was dangerous, unprofessional, projecting her condition onto a vulnerable patient. But tomorrow, Delilah would also wake to find her drawing still taped to the window, catching morning light. And that, Sophia thought, might matter more than she knew. Marcus came home at 6 p.m. instead of 11. The first time in months, he'd left work before exhaustion made the decision for him. Dr. Voss had called him twice, her voice urgent with concern about inappropriate attachment and boundary violations. He'd reviewed her documentation during his commute, photographs of drawings, reports of Sophia interfering with protocols, warnings about projection and manipulation. But he'd also reviewed something else. 3 weeks of data showing Delilah's stress markers decreasing, her sleep patterns normalizing, her morning vitals stabilizing. Numbers didn't lie, systems didn't deceive. The data told a story Dr. Voss's narrative couldn't explain. He found Sophia in the kitchen, preparing dinner with Mrs. Chen. She looked up when he entered, and he saw her brace for dismissal. Her hand went instinctively to her belly, protective, defensive, ready to fight or flee. "I'd like to see my daughter's room," Marcus said. The request clearly surprised them both. Mrs. Chen recovered first. "Of course, Mr. Whitmore." They climbed the stairs in silence, Marcus, Sophia, and Mrs. Chen forming an unlikely procession. At Delilah's door, Marcus paused. When had he last entered this space? When had he stopped being a father and become a data analyst, monitoring his daughter through reports and surveillance footage? He knocked. No response. "Delilah?" His voice cracked on her name. "May I come in?" Another silence, then a small voice. "Okay." The room stunned him, not because of the medical equipment. He'd authorized all that, cataloged it in his mind as necessary intervention. But the drawings, God, the drawings. They covered every available surface, a gallery of suffering he'd been too afraid to witness directly. A girl with a funnel where her mouth should be. A girl trapped in a chair while the world happened through windows. A girl reaching toward a woman whose belly held new life, whose hands offered something that looked like freedom. Sophia had rendered his daughter's prison visible, and he'd been too busy reviewing charts to notice. "I did this," he said, not to anyone in particular. The words just fell out, heavy as stones. "I did to you what they did to your mother." Delilah sat in her chair, watching him with eyes that held too much understanding for 12 years. "Mom wanted to choose," she said softly. "You never let her." The truth hit him like a physical blow. Catherine's final words. "I just wanted to choose." He'd heard them as accusation, but they'd been explanation. She hadn't needed more control. She'd needed autonomy, agency, the simple dignity of deciding what entered her own body. And he'd learned nothing. He'd taken his wife's death and used it to justify removing his daughter's choices, convinced that control equaled love, that survival mattered more than living. Marcus sat on the floor, his expensive suit crumpling against carpet, his carefully maintained composure cracking, and wept. For Catherine, who died trying to reclaim herself from systems designed to fix rather than see. For Delilah, who'd spent 2 years imprisoned by his terror. For the father he'd failed to be while playing protector. Sophia remained in the doorway, giving him space but staying present, a witness, not a judge. "I don't know how to fix this," Marcus said finally. "Maybe fixing isn't what she needs," Sophia replied. "Maybe just seeing." That evening, Marcus made 3 calls. First to Dr. Voss, terminating their contract immediately. Second, to a trauma therapist he'd researched but been too afraid to contact. Third, to his assistant, clearing his schedule for the next month. Then he did something he hadn't done in 2 years. He sat with his daughter and asked what she needed, not what the data suggested, not what the protocols mandated, what she, Delilah, actually wanted. "I want Sophia to stay," she whispered, "and I want to learn to eat again. Real food. My choice." Marcus looked at Sophia, who stood with one hand on her pregnant belly, the other gripping the doorframe for balance. She was undocumented, alone, desperate, and she'd done what his money and power couldn't. She'd helped his daughter remember she was human. "Will you stay?" he asked. "Not as staff, as family." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She nodded once, then turned to Delilah. "Tomorrow," she said in her accented English, "we start with strawberries." The reading became a nightly ritual. Marcus arrived home each evening at 7 instead of 11, carrying books he'd ordered online. Stories Delilah had loved as a younger child, before grief had rewritten both their lives. He sat in the chair across from her bed, never touching, always asking permission, and read until his voice grew hoarse. Sophia observed from the hallway, her pregnant belly making it difficult to stand for long periods, but she remained present, witnessing, making sure this fragile reconnection didn't shatter under the weight of Marcus's guilt or Delilah's justified wariness. On the 5th night of reading, Marcus closed the book and did something unprecedented. He asked Delilah a question that wasn't about medical compliance. "What do you remember about your mother? The real things, not what I've told you to remember." Delilah's eyes widened. For a moment, Sophia thought she might retreat back into silence, but then words came, halting and careful. "She used to paint my nails," Delilah whispered, "even when she was really sick. She'd sit on my bed and do one nail at a time, And sometimes it would take an hour because her hands shook. But she never stopped trying. Marcus's face crumpled. I forgot that. God, I completely forgot. You forgot everything that wasn't about saving her. Delilah's voice held no accusation, just exhausted truth. And then you forgot everything about me that wasn't about not losing me. The words hung between them, honest, devastating, necessary. Marcus wanted to defend himself. Sophia could see it in the way his shoulders tensed, but something stopped him. Maybe the monitoring footage he'd been reviewing obsessively, showing Sophia's patient presence transforming his daughter. Maybe his therapist's voice asking what Catherine had actually needed versus what he tried to force her to accept. You're right, he said finally. I've been so afraid of you dying that I forgot to let you live. The next morning, Marcus made an announcement at breakfast, a meal he'd insisted they share, with Mrs. Chen cooking pancakes nobody had ordered. He'd been researching trauma-informed therapists, real ones, not nutritionists masquerading as healers. He wanted to reduce the funnel feedings to twice daily, with Delilah choosing what to eat in between. It's your body, he said, the words clearly costing him. I'm going to stop treating it like my property. Dr. Voss arrived for the noon feeding to discover her protocol had been unilaterally changed. She found Marcus, Sophia, and Delilah in the dining room, an ordinary table set with ordinary food, nothing medicalized or controlled. This is dangerous, Voss said, her professional mask slipping to reveal naked fury. You're undoing months of careful intervention. No, Marcus replied, standing between her and his daughter. I'm ending months of abuse I paid you to perform. Your services are no longer needed. Voss's eyes went cold. You'll regret this. When she relapses, Then we'll deal with it together, Marcus interrupted. As a family, not as a patient and her keeper. After Voss left, her departure marked by slammed doors and threats of lawsuits that would go nowhere, Sophia placed a single strawberry on Delilah's plate. Dulce, she said softly. Un poquito ácida, buena. Delilah picked it up, her hands trembling. She looked at her father, then at Sophia, then at the fruit itself. Small, red, ordinary, extraordinary. She ate it. Marcus wept quietly, his hands covering his face. Not tears of relief or victory, but of grief for the 2 years he'd stolen from his daughter while believing he was saving her. Sophia reached across the table and took Delilah's free hand, then extended her other hand to Marcus. He grasped it like a lifeline. They sat that way for a long time. 3 people learning what family meant when it was built on truth instead of control. For a week, something like hope took root in the Whitmore household. Delilah ate small amounts at meals, never enough by conventional standards, but chosen, which meant everything. Marcus worked from home, his laptop open at the dining table while his daughter did schoolwork nearby. Sophia taught them both to make simple foods, quesadillas, fruit salad, things that didn't carry the weight of medical intervention. But healing rarely moves in straight lines. On day 8, Delilah lost 17 pounds. The number appeared on the bathroom scale she'd been avoiding, and something in her fractured. She'd been eating, actually choosing food, trusting that her body could exist without being force-fed. And still, she was shrinking, just like her mother. Marcus found her that evening, sitting on her bedroom floor, surrounded by her drawings. She'd torn them all from the window, the gallery of suffering that had forced him to see what he'd done. Now, they lay scattered like evidence of a crime she couldn't escape. It's happening anyway, Delilah said flatly. I'm disappearing just like Mom. You're not, Marcus started, but she cut him off. 17 pounds in 8 days. That's what Dr. Voss warned you about. That's what killed Mom. Her voice was eerily calm, the dissociation returning like an old friend. Maybe you were right. Maybe I need the funnel. Maybe I can't be trusted. Sophia appeared in the doorway, Esperanza asleep against her chest in a wrap. She'd given birth 3 days ago, a girl, healthy and wanted, born in a hospital Marcus paid for without hesitation. The baby's presence had shifted something in the house, made new life feel possible. But now Delilah stared at that new life with hollow eyes. I should lock the door again, Delilah whispered, before I do to myself what Mom did, before Dad has to bury both of us. Sophia entered the room slowly, Lowering herself to the floor despite her postpartum body's protests, she positioned herself so Delilah could see Esperanza's sleeping face. "Your mother couldn't save herself," Sophia said quietly in English, her accent thick but her words deliberate. Not because she was weak, because the people trying to help her kept taking away her choices, just like your father did to you. "I'm losing weight eating," Delilah said desperately. "That means I'm doing it wrong. That means your body was traumatized by 2 years of forced feeding and is adjusting," Sophia interrupted gently. "It means healing isn't linear. It means you're learning to trust yourself again, and that's terrifying." Marcus sat on the floor too, the three of them forming a small circle with the baby at its center. "I'm scared," he admitted. "I'm so scared of losing you that I can barely breathe. But I'm more scared of what I already did, of turning you into a prisoner in your own body because I couldn't face my grief." Delilah looked at her father, really looked at him, and saw something she hadn't seen in 2 years. Not control, not management, just a man, broken and trying, finally willing to sit in his fear instead of weaponizing it. "I need you to trust me," Delilah said. The morning after Sophia's termination, Delilah woke to find the curtains closed again. Not just pulled shut, taped down, the way they'd been before Sophia arrived. Someone had restored the room to its prison configuration overnight, erasing 3 weeks of careful opening. Mrs. Chen brought breakfast, if it could be called that, the funnel and formula, administered with apologetic efficiency. A new assistant stood in the corner, young and nervous, instructed not to make eye contact or conversation. Dr. Voss had recommended her. Professional distance, she'd called it. Appropriate boundaries. Delilah accepted the feeding without resistance. Her eyes went blank the way they used to, her body present but herself retreating to that interior place where nothing could reach her. The new assistant noted full compliance on her chart and left quickly, grateful to escape the suffocating silence. Marcus reviewed the morning report from his office downtown, relief and guilt warring in his chest. The numbers looked good. Formula administered on schedule, no behavioral issues, everything back to normal. This was what recovery looked like, he told himself. Structure, protocol, medical intervention preventing tragedy. But when he closed his eyes, he saw Sophia's face as security escorted her out. The way she'd turned back at the door, one hand on her pregnant belly, and said in careful English, "You're making the same mistake twice." At noon, Dr. Voss arrived personally to oversee the feeding. She'd increased the formula's caloric density, explaining to the new assistant that they needed to compensate for the dangerous weight loss Sophia had encouraged. As she poured the thick liquid into the funnel, she smiled with professional satisfaction. "Back on track," she murmured, checking her watch. "Crisis averted." Delilah stared at nothing while her body was filled with nutrients it hadn't chosen. 20 minutes of mechanical feeding, then disconnection, then the new assistant's hasty retreat. Dr. Voss lingered, photographing the closed curtains and clean room for her documentation, evidence of proper treatment resuming. Only Mrs. Chen noticed what the others missed. Delilah's hands, which had stopped scratching her arms during Sophia's tenure, had returned to their old patterns. Fresh marks appeared daily, hidden under long sleeves. The girl was disappearing again, retreating back into the protective catatonia that had defined her existence before Sophia disrupted it. On the third day of Sophia's absence, something shifted. Delilah finished her morning feeding in the usual silence. The new assistant documented compliance and left. Mrs. Chen arrived to tidy the room, moving quietly around the furniture. "Where is she?" Delilah asked, her first words in 72 hours. Mrs. Chen paused, dustcloth in hand. "Who?" "Sophia. And the baby, where did they go?" The question hung in the air like an accusation. Chen set down her supplies and sat carefully on the edge of Delilah's bed, a boundary violation by Dr. Voss's standards, but Mrs. Chen had witnessed enough. "I don't know," she admitted. "Your father had her escorted out. She didn't have time to pack everything. Her grandmother's photograph is still in her room." Delilah processed this information with the careful attention of someone weighing a decision that couldn't be unmade. "Good," she said finally. Mrs. Chen frowned. "Good? She needs to be away from here. This house." Delilah gestured vaguely at the closed curtains, the medical equipment, the emptiness. "This house eats people." That afternoon, when Dr. Voss arrived for the 4 p.m. feeding, she found Delilah's bedroom door locked from the inside. She knocked with increasing irritation, then summoned the new assistant. Together they called out, cajoled, threatened. Silence. Delilah sat on her floor, surrounded by the drawings she'd created during Sophia's tenure. She'd hidden them before anyone could remove them. Under her mattress, in her closet, testimony to the brief period when she'd existed as more than a patient requiring management. She wasn't ready to speak yet, wasn't ready to explain. She simply sat with her art and her silence and waited for someone to notice she was choosing. By evening, Marcus received 3 urgent calls. Dr. Voss, demanding he authorize breaking down the door for emergency medical intervention. The new assistant, terrified she'd be blamed for losing control of the patient. Mrs. Chen, her voice quiet but firm. You need to come home, now. He arrived to find a small crowd outside Delilah's door. Dr. Voss with her medical bag, the assistant with her phone ready to call emergency services, Mrs. Chen standing slightly apart with an expression Marcus couldn't read. She's been locked in there for 6 hours, Voss said without preamble. She's missed 2 feedings. This is exactly the crisis behavior I warned you about. Sophia's influence has triggered a dangerous regression. Marcus approached the door, his hand trembling as he raised it to knock. Delilah? Silence. Delilah, please, open the door. More silence, then a voice so quiet he had to press his ear to the wood to hear it. Why should I? The question stopped him. Not defiance, not anger, just genuine inquiry. Why should she unlock her door? Why should she submit to more feedings, more protocols, more of his fear disguised as protection? Because I'm worried about you, he tried. You're always worried about me. Her voice was stronger now, clearer. You've been worried about me for 2 years, and your worry feels exactly like the thing that killed Mom. Dr. Voss started to interject, but Marcus held up his hand, silencing her. Something was shifting in his understanding, pieces clicking into place he'd refused to see. What did your mother's worry feel like? He asked carefully. A long pause. Then, like being told your body is wrong. Like being managed instead of loved. Like everyone's trying to save you from yourself, but nobody asks what you actually need. Marcus slid down to sit with his back against the door, his expensive suit crumpling against the hallway floor. Behind him, he sensed Dr. Voss's impatience, her calculation of how this reflected on her treatment protocols. I don't know what you need, he admitted to the door. I thought I did. I thought keeping you alive was enough. I thought if I controlled everything, I could prevent losing you the way I lost her. You already lost me, Dad. 2 years ago, when you decided my body belonged to you. The truth of it hit him like a physical blow. He'd been so consumed by preventing Catherine's outcome that he'd recreated her suffering. The forced interventions, the removal of agency, the reduction of a person to a body requiring management. You're right, he said, his voice breaking. God, you're right. I did to you exactly what all those treatment centers did to your mother. I became the thing she was running from. Inside the room, Delilah pressed her palm against the door where her father's back rested on the other side. She could feel his weight through the wood, his presence no longer looming but collapsed, finally vulnerable enough to be reached. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too, he replied, but I'm more scared of living like this, of disappearing while everyone tries to keep me alive. Marcus closed his eyes, tears streaming down his face. Dr. Voss made an impatient sound, but Mrs. Chen stepped forward and placed a hand on the doctor's shoulder, surprisingly firm, surprisingly commanding. I think, Mrs. Chen said quietly, your services are no longer required. Voss sputtered about liability, about medical necessity, about the lawsuit she'd file if anything happened to Delilah. But Marcus was done listening to expertise that had never asked his daughter what she needed. Send me your final invoice, he said without looking at her. We're finished. After Voss left with her bag and her indignation, Marcus remained sitting outside his daughter's locked door. The new assistant hovered uncertainly until Mrs. Chen dismissed her gently. Then it was just the two of them, father and daughter, separated by wood and 2 years of accumulated trauma. I don't know how to fix this, Marcus said finally. The lock clicked. The door opened just wide enough for him to see Delilah sitting on her floor, surrounded by dozens of drawings. Each one depicted the same image with slight variations: a girl with a funnel where her mouth should be, and a pregnant woman with kind eyes cutting her free. "Maybe," Delilah said, "it's not about fixing." Mrs. Chen left the Whitmore estate at dawn without asking permission, her sensible shoes clicking against marble floors that had witnessed too much suffering. She'd spent 40 years learning when to follow rules and when to break them. This morning, she broke them. Sophia's last known address led to a women's shelter in a part of the city Marcus Whitmore had never seen. Mrs. Chen found her in a shared room, doubled over with contractions, alone except for a volunteer who looked barely older than Delilah. "Your water broke?" Mrs. Chen asked in Mandarin, then switched to English when Sophia's confused expression registered. "Last night," Sophia gasped, "I have no money for hospital, no papers. I was going to—" Another contraction cut her off. Mrs. Chen made 3 decisions in rapid succession. She called the private hospital Marcus used, instructed them to bill the Whitmore account, and helped Sophia into her car with the efficiency of someone who'd raised 3 children while working full-time. "Mr. Whitmore," Sophia started. "Is learning what matters," Mrs. Chen interrupted, pulling into traffic with more aggression than her demeanor suggested possible. "His daughter hasn't eaten in 4 days. You're having a baby alone. Sometimes men need their failures made visible." She called Marcus from the hospital parking lot, her voice carrying 40 years of witnessing without speaking. "Your daughter is starving herself because she lost the only family member who saw her. Sophia is in labor with no one. You can fix one of these problems. I suggest you fix both." Marcus arrived 2 hours later, his suit rumpled, his face showing the 4 days he'd spent camped outside Delilah's locked door. He found Sophia in a birthing suite, alone except for nurses who moved with professional sympathy around her fear. When she saw him, Sophia's entire body tensed. Deportation, punishment, the familiar calculus of powerlessness. "I'm sorry," Marcus said, sitting in the corner chair like a penitent. "I fired you because you reminded me that love means letting go of control." He told her about Catherine, about the forced treatments that had stripped his wife of dignity while claiming to save her. About Delilah's locked door, her hunger strike, her drawings that finally made him see what his protection had actually created. "My wife tried to control her body because she felt powerless everywhere else. I tried to control my daughter's body because I was terrified of losing her. We both created the thing we feared most." Sophia gripped the bed rail through another contraction. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm asking you to come back. Not as an employee, as family." His voice cracked on the word. "Delilah needs you, and I think you might need us too." "I'm undocumented," Sophia said flatly. "Pregnant. Alone. What can I give?" "You already gave it. You taught my daughter she still exists." Marcus leaned forward, his carefully maintained composure finally, completely crumbling. "Let me give you something back. Safety, legal help, a home. Not because you work for me, but because families take care of each other." Sophia studied him, this man who'd paid her triple wages to witness suffering he couldn't bear to see directly, who'd built walls of money and expertise around his grief, who was finally, desperately trying to do something right. "If I come back, the funnel goes. It's already gone. And Delilah chooses. Everything. She chooses everything." Another contraction, stronger. Sophia nodded once, then focused inward as her body began the serious work of bringing new life into a world that suddenly felt less hostile. 6 hours later, Esperanza was born. 7 pounds, healthy lungs, her mother's dark eyes. Sophia held her daughter and wept, finally understanding her grandmother's wisdom about families we choose. Marcus stood at the doorway, bearing witness, learning what love looked like when it didn't try to control. Sophia returned to the Whitmore estate 3 days after giving birth, Esperanza wrapped against her chest in a soft carrier that made them look like one organism learning to breathe together. Mrs. Chen had prepared her old room, but Marcus insisted she take the guest suite on the 2nd floor, equal space, equal standing. "Family," he'd said simply. Delilah's hunger strike had reached 7 days. The medical professionals Marcus consulted warned of irreversible organ damage within 72 hours. He'd spent those 3 days sitting outside her locked door, talking to her through wood, finally saying all the things he'd been too afraid to voice. When Sophia knocked, Delilah opened the door immediately. The girl had lost 25 pounds in a week, dangerous, desperate weight loss that made her face gaunt and her movements shaky. But her eyes held something Sophia hadn't seen before: determination, agency, the terrifying power of choosing, even when the choice might destroy you. "This is Esperanza," Sophia said, entering without asking permission because they were equals now. "She needs a big sister. Can you be that?" Sophia placed the baby in Delilah's trembling arms. Esperanza, with the wisdom of newborns, immediately sought warmth, nuzzling against Delilah's chest. The girl made a sound, half sob, half laugh, and held the infant like she was made of light. "Your mother couldn't save herself," Sophia said quietly, sitting beside them. "Not because she was weak, because the people trying to help her kept taking away her choices. Just like your father did to you." "But I'm still losing weight," Delilah whispered. "Even when I eat." "Because your body was traumatized. Because healing isn't linear. Because you're learning to trust yourself again. And that's the hardest thing in the world." Marcus appeared in the doorway, and Sophia gestured him in. The three of them, 4, counting Esperanza, formed a circle on Delilah's floor, surrounded by the scattered drawings that documented her imprisonment. "I'm so scared," Marcus admitted. "Me too," Delilah said. "Me 3, Sophia added, and the absurdity of it, 3 terrified people and 1 oblivious infant trying to build something from wreckage, made Delilah laugh. A real laugh, rusty but genuine. "Will you teach me?" Delilah asked Sophia. "How to eat again? Like you taught me I was still real?" "Yes, but not for me, not for your father, for you." They began that afternoon. Sophia prepared a single strawberry, their shared language of trust, and placed it on a plate. Delilah picked it up with shaking hands, looked at her father, then at Sophia, then at the sleeping baby in her lap. She ate it, then another, then a piece of toast, broken into small bites. She gagged twice, panicked once, but continued. Marcus sat with them, bearing witness without trying to manage or fix. By evening, Delilah had consumed approximately 400 calories of self-chosen food. It was simultaneously nothing and everything. A girl reclaiming her own mouth, her own body, her own right to exist. 3 months passed in careful reconstruction, the mansion slowly transforming from mausoleum into home. Sophia taught Delilah to make quesadillas, their hands working side by side as Esperanza slept in her carrier nearby. Marcus sold his company's majority stake to work from home, relearning how to be present instead of productive. The funnel and feeding equipment were donated to a medical museum, a memorial to suffering ended. Delilah had lost 65 pounds through gentle movement and intuitive eating. But more importantly, she'd regained something Marcus's protocols had never measured: her voice, her agency, herself. She read to Esperanza every night, practicing the aunt-sister role she'd chosen. The baby would grip her finger with surprising strength, and Delilah would tell her stories about birds who learned to fly again after forgetting how their wings worked. Sophia's immigration case progressed with Marcus funding representation. They were building something unprecedented, a family formed not by traditional structures, but by mutual healing, by the courage to release control and trust in becoming. Mrs. Chen had become honorary grandmother, her 40 years of witnessing finally finding purpose. She taught Delilah to fold dumplings on Sunday afternoons, their quiet companionship requiring no explanation. On Thanksgiving, they gathered around the dining table for the first time since Catherine's death. Marcus had wanted to eat in the breakfast nook, less haunted, fewer ghosts, but Delilah insisted they reclaim this space properly. The meal was imperfect and honest: slightly burnt turkey, lumpy gravy, Sophia's Guatemalan side dishes alongside traditional American fare. Esperanza fussed through most of it, requiring frequent breaks for nursing and soothing. Before eating, Marcus began a new ritual. "I'd like us each to share what we're grateful for." Mrs. Chen went first, her voice carrying quiet conviction. "I'm grateful I stayed long enough to witness healing instead of just harm." Sophia adjusted Esperanza at her breast. "I'm grateful my daughter will grow up knowing family can be chosen, that home is built through care rather than inherited through blood." Marcus's turn came. He looked at his daughter, really looked at her, seeing not a problem requiring management but a person courageously rebuilding herself. grateful for second chances, he said, his voice thick, for the courage to admit when love looks like letting go rather than holding tight. They all turned to Delilah. She sat straighter, her body still healing but her presence undeniable. She reached for Sophia's hand on one side, her father's on the other. "I'm grateful I'm still here," she said clearly. "And I'm grateful for the people who taught me that being alive means more than just breathing." They ate slowly, talking and laughing, Esperanza eventually settling into satisfied sleep. When Delilah took seconds of stuffing, nobody commented. When she declined pumpkin pie, nobody panicked. Her body belonged to her again, and they were learning to trust her choices. Later, as Sophia cleared dishes and Marcus attempted to wash them without breaking anything, Delilah sat by the window with Esperanza. She'd created a new drawing that morning, her first since the hunger strike, and had taped it where evening light could illuminate it. 5 figures of different sizes holding hands in front of a house with all windows open, light pouring out. No funnels, no locks, no cages, just family, chosen and real, learning what it meant to witness each other's humanity without trying to control or fix it. Sophia joined her, looking at the drawing. "Your mother would be proud of you." "I think," Delilah said softly, "she'd be proud of all of us for finally learning what she tried to teach, that love means letting people choose, even when their choices scare us." Outside, the first snow began falling, gentle and transforming, covering everything in the possibility of beginning again.